In the last lecture, we studied about dimensions, and today we are going to see some problems based upon dimensions. So let's begin. So let's start with a simple problem. So first problem is gravitational force F between two masses m1 and m2 separated by a distance r is given by F equals to g times m1 m2 divided by r squared. Find dimensions of universal gravitational constant g. So we are given with this formula F equals to g m1 m2 over r squared, where F is the gravitational force between two masses m1 and m2 separated by distance r, and g is the universal gravitational constant, and we are asked to find the dimensions of this universal gravitational constant. Okay, so we have F equals to g times m1 into m2 over r squared, and we want dimensions of g. So let's take all the other terms on the other side of the equation. So we get g equals to f times r squared divided by m1 m2. So f r squared over m1 m2, and then dimensions of g will be equal to dimensions of f times dimensions of r squared divided by dimensions of m1 and m2. So what are dimensions of f? Dimensions of f are L1, m1, t raised to minus 2, and r is the distance. That means dimensions of r are L raised to 1, and we have square of that, so it becomes L raised to 2. Then in division we have two masses m1 and m2, so their dimensions are m and m. Okay, so this is m raised to 1 and this is m raised to 1. Now we can cancel out this m raised to 1 from numerator with one of the m raised to 1 in the denominator, and then what we are left with is, so we are left with L raised to 1 multiplied by L raised to 2, which is L raised to 1 plus 2, that's L raised to 3. Then if we take this m raised to 1 in the numerator, it becomes m raised to minus 1, so m raised to minus 1 and t raised to minus 2. So L raised to 3, m raised to minus 1 and t raised to minus 2 are the dimensions of universal gravitational constant. Okay. Now let's see problem number 2. The motion of a particle executing oscillations is described by the displacement function x equals to p times sine of in bracket square root of q by m times t plus r, where t is time and a is acceleration. Find the dimensions of p, q and r. So in this question we are given with this displacement function. X is the displacement of some particle which is oscillating, and we are asked to find dimensions of p, dimensions of q and dimensions of r. So we know in an equation dimensions of all terms should be equal. So dimensions on left hand side and dimensions on right hand side of the equation should be equal. So now on left hand side we have displacement. So what are dimensions of displacement? So dimensions of x are just L raised to 1. Okay. Then on right hand side we have p multiplied by sine of something. So the term inside that bracket must be an angle. Okay. So let's suppose theta is equal to square root of q by m times t plus r. Now, since angles are dimensionless, we know an angle in SI system angle theta is this arc length L divided by radius, okay, and therefore dimensions of theta are dimensions of L divided by dimensions of R. So it is length over length, and that's why it is dimensionless. Okay, so this term is dimensionless, and therefore sine of theta is just a number. It is dimensionless, and therefore I can say dimensions of P are equal to dimensions of X. Okay, so since sine theta is dimensionless, I can say that dimensions of P are equal to dimensions of X, and that is equal to just L raised to 1. After that, we have theta equals to this term. So let's take this on next page. Now here the dimensions of these three terms are equal, and since theta is dimensionless, we can say that these two terms are also dimensionless. So R is dimensionless, and then we have square root of q over m times t is also dimensionless, and therefore I can write that dimensions of square root of q over m times t is equal to 1. Because this quantity is dimensionless, that means the power of fundamental quantities to which it depends is 0. Okay, it is L raised to 0, m raised to 0, everything raised to 0, and we know that anything raised to 0 is 1, so we have 1 here. Then I can take this t on the other side, so I get dimensions of square root of q over m equals to 1 over dimensions of t, and then we can take square on both sides of this equation. So squaring, we get dimensions of q over m are equal to 1 over dimensions of t squared. Then I will take this m on the other side too. So I get dimensions of q are equal to dimensions of m. M goes to the numerator, divided by dimensions of t squared. And then I can write this as dimensions of q are m raised to 1 in numerator and t raised to 2 in denominator. If we take that to the numerator, becomes t raised to minus 2. So we have dimensions of q as m raised to 1 and t raised to minus 2. Okay, then the next problem is the speed of transverse waves on a string depend on the force F, mass m and length L. Use dimensional analysis to deduce a plausible relation. So if we consider a string tied to a rigid support, and if we give a jerk to the string, what happens is waves are set on the string. So the question says the speed of these transverse waves on a string, they depend on the force F, okay, the force acting on string, mass m and length L, the length of the string. Okay, and we have to find the possible relation between the speed of these waves and these quantities: force, mass and length. Okay, so let's suppose that the speed depends on F, M and L, but we don't know what powers of F, M and L will come in the formula of speed. Okay, so let's consider that it depends on F raised to A, M raised to B and L raised to C. Okay, so I can write this as V equals to some constant. Okay, if we remove proportionality sign and put an equality sign, a constant will come. So some numerical constant K times F raised to A, M raised to B and L raised to C. Okay, then we can take dimensions on both sides of this equation. So dimensions of V will be equal to dimensions of K times dimensions of F raised to A multiplied by dimensions of M raised to B multiplied by dimensions of L raised to C. And K is dimensionless, so this term doesn't have any dimensions, and therefore V will be equal to dimensions of F raised to A, and dimensions of F are L1, M1, T raised to minus 2, and we have raised to A. Then dimensions of mass are M raised to 1 and power of that is B, and dimensions of length is L raised to 1. So L raised to 1 and raised to C. So now let's take this term on next page. So we have dimensions of V equals to, on right hand side it is L raised to 1A multiplied by L raised to 1C, so it is L raised to A plus C. Then M raised to A multiplied by M raised to B, which is M raised to A plus B, and T raised to minus 2A, and that's it. Okay, so we know in an equation dimensions on left hand side and dimensions on right hand side should be equal. So what are dimensions of V? Dimensions of V are L raised to 1, T raised to minus 1. So now we have L raised to 1 on left hand side, and on right hand side it is L raised to A plus C. So A plus C must be equal to 1. So A plus C is equal to 1. Then there is no M on left hand side, that means it's M raised to 0. So we have A plus B equals to 0. And T raised to minus 1 is equal to T raised to minus 2A. That means minus 1 equals to minus 2A, or A is equal to minus 1 divided by minus 2, or 1 divided by 2. Okay, so we got A. Now let's substitute that in these two equations. So let's substitute that here. So we get half plus C equals to 1, and that means C equals to half. Okay, 1 minus half, so C is half. And if we substitute A equals to half in this equation, so we have half plus B equals to 0, which gives us B equals to minus half. Okay, so A is half, C is half and B is minus half. Then let's substitute all that in the equation we considered. V equals to K times F raised to A, M raised to B and L raised to C. So V equals to K times F raised to A, and what is A? A is half, multiplied by M raised to B. So B is minus half, multiplied by, we have L raised to C, and C is half. Okay, so this is the equation we wanted. Now we have m raised to minus half in numerator. So if I take this term in denominator, it becomes m raised to half. So let me take this on next page. So I will take this m raised to minus half in denominator. So it becomes m raised to half. So we have f times L divided by m, everything raised to half, or I can say v is equal to k times square root of this term. Okay, so v is equal to k times square root of f times L divided by m. So this is the required equation. So now, as we can see in this equation, we have this numerical constant whose value we cannot determine because constants don't have any dimensions. Okay, so this equation is correct up to this constant. Now let's see question number 4. Find the conversion factor between unit of force in SI system, it is Newton, to unit in CGS system, it is dyne, using dimensions. So in this question, we are asked to find the conversion factor between Newton and dyne. So 1 Newton is suppose x dyne. So we have to find value of this x. And what are Newton and dyne? They are units of force in SI system and CGS system. Okay. So now let's suppose units of length, mass and time in SI system are, so units of length, mass and time in SI system are L1, M1, T1, and in CGS system they are L2, M2 and T2. Okay, then I can write this Newton and dyne, the units of force in SI and CGS, by the combination of units of length, mass and time. Okay, so we know dimensions of force are L1, M1, T raised to minus 2. So using these dimensions, we can write Newton and dyne in terms of the units of length, mass and time. Okay, so Newton can be written as L raised to 1, M raised to 1, T raised to minus 2, and the units we chose for SI system are L suffix 1, M suffix 1 and T suffix 1. Okay, so L1 raised to 1, M suffix 1 raised to 1 and T suffix 1 raised to minus 2. Okay, similarly I can write dyne as L2 raised to 1, M2 raised to 1 and T2 raised to minus 2. Okay, after that I can take this term on left hand side and I can rewrite this as x is equal to L1 raised to 1, M1 raised to 1, T1 raised to minus 2 divided by L2 raised to 1, M2 raised to 1, T2 raised to minus 2. So this is equal to, now I can write this as L1 over L2 raised to 1 multiplied by M1 over M2 raised to 1 multiplied by T1 over T2 raised to minus 2. Now we can substitute actual units in SI and CGS system. So for SI system, the unit of length is meters, and in CGS system it is centimeter. So meter divided by centimeter raised to 1. Unit of mass in SI is kg and In CGS it is gram, so kg divided by gram raised to 1, and unit of time is same, so second divided by second raised to -2. Okay, so x is equal to this. So let's take this to the next page, and now we know 1 meter equals to 100 centimeters and 1 kg equals to 1000 grams. So we can substitute that here. So meter divided by centimeter is 100, kilogram divided by gram is 1000. So we have x equals to 100 times 1000 multiplied by 1 from here. So it is 10 raised to 2 multiplied by 10 raised to 3. So x is 10 raised to 5. Okay. So 1 Newton equals to 10 raised to 5 dyne. So this is the conversion factor between Newton and dyne, the unit of force in SI system to unit of force in CGS system.